Will Smith quit the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences not long ago. The news came a week after he hit Chris Rock live on the Oscars show. Will Smith said in a statement that what he did was shocking, painful, and unacceptable. Music. The world stopped when Will Smith walked onto the Oscar stage and hit Chris Rock in the face. Phones went off. Group talks went crazy. Live on air, news reporters stuttering their words. But here's the thing. In those first few hours of chaos, no one was talking about anything. It wasn't over after the slap. For Will Smith, it was the start of something much worse. Because hitting a comic doesn't stop him from talking. You give him things to read. And when you hit one comic, all of them become your enemy. What happened in Hollywood over the next 2 years would rock the world to its core. Chris Rock not only got back on track, he went on the attack with one of the worst comedic takedowns in TV history. Dave Chappelle didn't just make it through his own attack on stage. He used music to show something bad about Will Smith that no one in Hollywood wanted to say out loud. Not only did these two men answer Will Smith, but they also took him apart piece by piece, joke by joke, truth by truth. What did Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle really say? And why does it mean that Will Smith's image will be seriously hurt and may never be the same? Listen up, because this story isn't just about a slap. That night, everything changed. Let's go back to March 27th, 2022. This is the 94th Academy Awards. This is the Dolby Theater in Hollywood, one of the sexiest nights in show business. Plenty of cameras. People in power wore clothes that cost millions of dollars. The world is looking. Chris Rock took the stage to give the Best Documentary Feature Award. He was wearing a blue velvet suit jacket and had no idea that his life was about to change in front of people all over the world. Chris knew the Smith family from before. He was the host of the Oscars in 2016 during the so-called Oscars So White scandal. I'm at the Academy Awards, which are also called the White People's Choice Awards. Jada Pinkett Smith led a public boycott because there weren't enough diverse nominees. Will Smith was overlooked for his role in Concussion, and Jada made it clear that she wouldn't be going. Chris, being Chris, talked about it in his speech. He made a joke about how her not going to the Oscars was like him not going to Rihanna's pants because he wasn't invited. I wouldn't wear Rihanna's pants, so why would Jada not go to the Oscars? I wasn't asked. People in the room laughed. She didn't forget. After 6 years, in 2022, Chris looks out into the crowd and sees that Jada Pinkett Smith has shaved her head. Jada had been honest about having alopecia, an autoimmune disease that makes people lose their hair. Afterward, Chris said it was the best joke he had ever told. Just a quick G.I. Jane to compare Jada's style to Demi Moore's famous shaved head roll from 1997. I'm just observing. Hey, Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane too. Looking forward to seeing it. Okay, the kind of joke that makes people laugh briefly and then moves on. There was a camera that got Jada rolling her eyes. Will Smith smiled at first, but then something changed. Will Smith got up from his chair. He walked slowly. That calm is important because it wasn't a spur-of-the-moment decision. He carefully walked up to that stage. Chris stood there with a microphone in his hand, with nowhere to hide and no security guards to help. Then Will Smith hit Chris Rock in the face with an open hand slap that was so hard it broke the whole sound system. Wow. Wow. There were confused whispers in the theater. Was it a set? At first, not even Chris was sure. Following this, Will Smith's loud voice from the front row told Chris twice in very clear language to not say his wife's name. There's no noise or cut. Don't say your wife's name. Wow. Dude. Watched by people all over the world. Chris Rock tried to salvage the situation with humor, even though he looked scared and was still reeling. In front of the shocked crowd, he said it was the best night in TV history. Think about how serious that is. Think about how calm you would have to be to make a joke seconds after being attacked on live TV in front of millions of people. That one moment tells you everything you need to know about Chris Rock when he's stressed. What then took place? Nothing. Will Smith wasn't let out by security. No one from the school stepped in. The show went on as if one of the biggest stars in Hollywood hadn't just attacked the world's most watched award show. In less than 40 minutes, Will Smith took the stage again to accept the award for Best Acting in a Musical for King Richard. People in the entertainment business gave Will Smith a standing ovation after seeing him hit a host for making a light joke. He cried. He talked about love. He talked about being God's tool. He got cheers. Do this to yourself. Why did the man who attacked get a standing ovation? What does that say about Hollywood? The world of comedy reacts. The effects were felt right away and were very loud. Social media broke up along well-known lines. Some people stood up for Will and said that the slap was just in protecting his wife's honor. Others said horrible things about him. But there was one group whose answer was the same from everyone. The world of comedy. When Jim Carrey went on CBS in the morning, he didn't hold back a word. That's what he said. You can't just walk up on stage and hit someone in the face because they said something. That video would be there forever. So he said that if he were Chris, he would have sued Will Smith for $200 million. Carrey then turned his anger on Hollywood, saying that it was morally bankrupt for applauding a guy who had just stolen from someone else. He used a certain word to describe it. Weak. The whole room had no backbone. Someone named Bill Mayer said that alopecia is not lymphoma. Ricky Gervais said in a mocking way that no one was treating him better because he was fat and going bald. All of the artists had the same message. This wasn't just an attack on one artist. It was an attack on the whole art form. Because this is something that people who aren't in humor often miss. To be funny, you have to be open. It comes with risk. To be able to say something hurtful to someone while understanding that the social contract will protect you from getting hurt physically, you need to be free. The ecosystem falls apart as soon as that safety is taken away. Will Smith quit the school on April 1st, for days after getting hit. After that, the Academy's board told him he couldn't go to the Oscars for 10 years. He held on to his award for Best Acting. No one was charged with a crime, so different people think the sentence was either too harsh or not harsh enough. Chris Rock chose not to press charges. He also wouldn't talk about what happened in public for almost a year, turning down interviews and media appearances because he didn't want the event to define him or give Will the pleasure of seeing him play the victim. His quiet said something on its own, but it couldn't last forever. But when Chris Rock finally broke it, he did it in a big way. Someone attacks Dave Chappelle, and it all makes sense. Before we talk about Chris Rock's huge answer, we need to talk about what happened 5 weeks after the Oscar slap. It changed the whole conversation. As part of Netflix's Netflix as a joke event, Dave Chappelle was doing stand-up comedy at the Hollywood Bowl. There were thousands of fans in the crowd, and it was a big night for one of the most important figures in comedy. Then, near the end of Chappelle's set, Isaiah Lee, 23, jumped a barrier, ran onto the stage, and pushed him to the ground. During his live show at the Hollywood Bowl, comedian Dave Chappelle was struck by a fan who charged the stage. Lee had a fake gun with a knife blade that folded up inside it. It wasn't yelling. This wasn't a fight over words. At one of the most well-known comedy shows in recent memory, someone attacked someone with a weapon. Some of the famous people in the crowd, like Jamie Foxx and Busta Rhymes, helped restrain Lee right away. Police swarmed the stage. Lee was arrested and charged with 4 misdemeanors: battery, having a weapon with the intent to assault, getting on stage without permission, and interfering with the show. Chappelle was scared, but he wasn't hurt. After 2 days, he did a secret show at the Los Angeles Comedy Store. Who else was there with him on stage? Chris Rock. What they said to each other that night became a comic legend right away. Chappelle laughed with Chris that at least Chris got hit by a respectable person, while he was hit by what he called a homeless man with leaves in his hair. Chris replied with a line that would set the tone for the rest of the chapter. He said that the nicest person who ever rapped hit him. The crowd lost it. The fact that it wasn't just an insult made it work so well. It was a careful, multi-layered taking apart. Back in the early 1990s, Will Smith was a rap artist. A lot of hits, like Getting Jiggy With It and Summertime. Clean, radio-friendly, and commercially huge, but never street, never hard, and never gaining the respect that comes with being tough. It wasn't just a joke when you called Will the softest rapper. It showed how tough the person was, which is what the slap was meant to do. Will wanted everyone to see him as a strong guardian. In one line, Chris Rock told everyone what he saw was not what they thought it was. This is a question that everyone in comedy asked during those weeks. Did the attack on Chappelle have anything to do with the slap? Not right away. Even though Isaiah Lee had his own problems and reasons for doing what he did, comedy club owners all over the United States saw the link right away. Daniel Zeldin, who runs Stand Up New York, said something that made everyone stop and think, that there was an invisible fence around comics before the Will Smith thing. She said, it was just not broken through. Even though they could boo, scream, or leave, they didn't rush the stages. They didn't touch the artists. She also said that after Will's slap, she knew right away that other people would do the same thing because Will Smith broke the rule. He made it seem easy to get to. It felt okay because of him. Howie Mandel went even further, saying that violence leads to more violence and that the slap had set off a chain reaction of violence. It didn't matter if you agreed with the exaggeration or not. The trend was clear. Within 5 weeks of Will Smith hitting comedian on the most famous stage in show business, another comic was hit too. The no-see-'em fence was gone. Chris Rock and Chappelle go on stage together. Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle did something that no one saw coming 4 months after both attacks. They went on tour together. From September 1st, 2022, at the M&S Bank Arena in Liverpool, England, there have been 2 very public cases of fighting on stage in the past few years, and both happened in front of packed houses in Europe. Oh, come on, get this picture. This is hard to understand. Please, _ how are you? Welcome. What are you going to call this joke? Welcome. Even though the tour was planned before either attack, it became the place where both guys talk about what happened and what it all meant. Chris first said no to Will Smith's apology in public at Liverpool. In July 2022, Will posted a video on YouTube in which he talked to Chris personally for the first time since the slap. He said he was sorry and promised that they could be friends again. Chris's answer from the stage in Liverpool was clear and direct. He said it didn't matter. He told the people there that he thought he was going to die. Will's film, he said, was not a real act of regret, but rather a planned public relations stunt meant to improve Will's image rather than actually making things right. Take a look at what that says. Will Smith waited months, made a video, and put it online. He tried to frame the story, but the man he hit saw it and said it was fake. That's not forgiving someone. That man can tell the difference between someone who is truly sorry and someone who is just saying sorry for the cameras. Chris also brought the real world back. He said that Will had been in a movie as Muhammad Ali. Mayweather Jr. wasn't just that they were different sizes. It was a sign. For apart as one of the best fighters ever, Will Smith trained hard. Chris Rock is a thin performer who makes a living being on stage. And Will picked him to murder. Chris called Suge Knight, the former executive at Death Row Records who is now serving a 28-year sentence for voluntary murder, Will suck Smith from that Liverpool stage. The comparison was on purpose and hurtful.